Does anybody want to look up the Horton 223? Maybe have a look at that. So the planes are flying, or the orders were given to fly to Guam. I hear these people talking. They can't get their compass, these content creators, they can't get their compass directions correct. But they have colossal audiences. This is astonishing. So anyhow, flying supposedly to Guam.
My fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
And maybe this will clear things up. But then in reality, B-2 Spirits flew from Missouri directly to Iran. So kind of giving a little fake along the way as well, with Trump saying, you got 2 weeks, or within 2 weeks, I'll make my decision. And then 3 days later or something, the B-MOPs start dropping out of the sky like it's raining cats and dogs. U.S. military dropped 14 bunker buster bombs on Iran's Fordo nuclear enrichment plant Saturday night, hit 2 other key sites, with President Trump declaring the facility hidden nearly 300 feet beneath a mountain completely obliterated. Trump announced the historic airstrike days after Israel initiated. And here's the blurring of definitions. Oh, this isn't a war. Oh no, that's not warfare. That's just ghetto Trump. He's just pulling a drive-by. Ghetto Trump just pulling a drive-by. I watch, they'll make a commercial. You watch, they're going to make a pro-Trump commercial, and there's going to be some black guy rapping about Trump's drive-by, ultimate drive-by, and all the white cucks, especially the used-up white women that are all faked up online with the fake everything, and then the filters even on top of that, and they're going to be like, yeah, and the camera will be like here and jugs, and they're going to be playing this black guy's rap song about ghetto Trump, ultimate drive-by. Sickening. Trump, and by the way, people are saying that, oh, you can't make comparisons to Iraq and Bush, which, by the way, when Trump ran the entire time, maybe you remember, he talked about how that was entire folly to get involved. First Iraq war, second Iraq war, regime changing, total folly, should never be done again. If he's president, he'll never do anything like that. And there's a neat little coincidence. I don't know. I don't think this article I haven't read yet, so it might be in it. But one of the, and maybe that's an inappropriate way to say it, the number 2 guys in the Iranian leadership, their defense minister, I think he is. His name is Tariq Nazirada, something like that. The number 2 guy in Iraq was Tariq Aziz. This is unconnected, obviously, but it really is tasting like the exact same thing all over again. Historic airstrikes. We have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites. Okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There they were over in the western part of Iran. A full payload of bombs dropped on the primary site, Fordo. Okay, got it. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, we're hearing about the B-2 Spirits. I wouldn't be surprised if we're not hearing about it, those F-117 Nighthawks as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a shit ton of them involved as well. I mean, no cost is too high for anti-white Jews. I mean, come on. No danger to us, no raping and pillaging of our weaponry, of our intelligence is too great. Break it all out. and in the things that we won't know about, maybe ever, the tech that maybe we'll learn about in 30 years, 50 years. I mean, we are well past time to finally hear about other stuff that's already in the US arsenal. So that's been in use for 20, 30 years. The president addressed the nation at 10 p.m. Saturday, saying from the White House that our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity. Got it. Tonight, I can report it's destroyed. Great. Iran's key nuclear enrichment. How many times are you going to say the same shit? The president said 40 years Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. Well, they've been saying, obviously, death to America in their conflict with Israel because America is Israel's bitch. America is totally Israel's bitch. The whole world sees it. Everyone knows it. They say jump, America says how high. That's all there is. So, of course, they're also going to say death to America. And that's not defending Iran. If Iran was a threat to the white race, I would evaporate them if I were in charge. That's how favorable I am of them. If I were in charge and they were a threat to the white race, if I were in charge of America and they were a threat to our brothers and sisters in Australia, I would evaporate Iran. No questions asked. Just like Ike Perlmutter. Just like so many of these others, Bill Ackman. Just like Peter Thiel. Just like so many of these others do for Jews. I would do the same thing for the white race. And then he gets in trying to make this pathetic case. We've lost over 1,000 people and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world fighting for Israel. Where is our $0 gasoline? We fought two colossal wars in the Middle East with the other threat to Israel, the other group of people that is Israelis and anti-white Jews in America didn't like, the Iraqis. Where is our $0 gasoline? Because if it had been for us, we would have $0 gasoline. We would have said, this chunk of Iraq is called American gas. And we would just be pumping it every day, all day. It would be the effect of free energy. Imagine what that would do. In all seriousness, imagine what that would do for our countries. Cheap to almost zero expense. 5 cents a gallon gasoline. 1 cent a liter. Imagine what that would do. How that would unleash our economies. How many months a year you'd have to actually work, and then the other months you'd get to take vacation, actually live your life. That's what a leadership of a white country should be concerning itself with. The lives of the people. What kind of lives are they living? Well, if you look across the West, especially in the United States, the lives they live, just speaking about the economy, because we talk so often about the physical, mental, and spiritual victimization, just talking about the economy, we work dawn till dusk from the moment we get nigh or at adulthood until we're almost dead. Almost all of us. We get almost no time with the people that matter in our lives. We spend a giant chunk of our lives lamenting that we didn't spend more time with the people we love. But how could you? What would our problems in the West look like if we controlled our destiny instead of anti-white Jews and anti-white blacks and anti-white white people and anti-white Hispanics and on and on? Could you imagine the politicians debating about how we get more time with the people we love? How we're able to manipulate the economy of our countries so that we can have more time of our own lives, of which we only get one. Could you imagine? That would be the conversations our politicians would be talking. You can't even fathom what a healthy white race and country would look like. You're swimming in the deep sea of anti-whiteism. You don't know there's anything beyond the water. Nope. No gas station, no America gas coming out of Iraq. We got nothing. We get to pay bills to police the puppet government in Iraq so that Israel can be happy. That's what we get to do. Police with our life. And this motherfucker is going to tell us about, well, they've killed some of our service members over there. Well, if our service members weren't there serving Israel, maybe they wouldn't have died. We're not getting anything. We get the bills. We get the body bags and the bills. That's what we get out of this deal. Netanyahu. It's in America's interest. Fuck you. Ugly ass piece of shit. I hope the opposition party over there executes your ass. I hope the opposition party executes you. Filthy POS. Body bags and bills. That's all we're getting out of Iraq. You know what? That's all we're going to get out of Iran too. Because the Iranians pointed out something that, of course, these anti-white Jews in Israel and in America, anti-whites among the totality of the Jewish population, they already knew. You can't kill the knowledge. You can't destroy the knowledge. You can hunt to kill as many scientists as you can, which Israel is doing. They're killing scientists left and right. They're killing educators left and right in Iran. By way of deception, by way of bombs. But they'll always be able to educate a new group. The knowledge will always be somewhere now that they have it. With, by the way, North Korea intimating that they might just give Iran the info to finish off and build their own nuke. You know that? Did you know that was just said? And Netanyahu was asked about that, and he just said no comment. You want to bet that suddenly North Korea is going to become an issue? You want to bet? I mean, this little psycho over there. How many American troops do we have in South Korea? A war that is still ongoing. You know there was never a peace treaty. The declaration of war never ended. The Korean War is still ongoing. Look it up for yourself. He's got missiles that can reach the west coast of the United States. I mean, granted, some of those cities should probably get a suntan. But he's got missiles that can reach. How often is North Korea talked about? Very little. North Korea became a thing during Trump's first administration when he wanted a big photo op that he got to cool down Rocket Man a little bit. Remember that? It was all about the look at me, I can make a great deal. I can chill this guy out. How much do you want to bet? If North Korea is not just talking crap, but they're literally thinking about supplying Iran with the tech to finish off a warhead, maybe even providing some of the tech, you want to believe that suddenly North Korea will be an existential threat to the United States. They can actually hit this country. You want to bet? And it'll have nothing to do with this country. And even more so, obviously, nothing to do with the well-being of the white race. But the knowledge can't be erased, which means there's a possibility here that boots will have to be on the ground in Iran. Not guaranteed, though. Not guaranteed. Why is that, Jason? The reason why it's not a guarantee is because an objectively crippled Iran that continues in that very Arabic way of deep and comical hyperbole and histrionics. It's just totally ridiculous. They can be talking about getting rid of red light cameras, and their politicians will be like, blood will run in the streets, because that's just how they roll, all right? But a objectively crippled Iran continuing to talk trash like that would be a very useful tool to anti-whites in the Jewish population, wouldn't it? They'd be able to keep coming back. Existential threat. They're going to hit New York. They're going to hit Washington, D.C. They're going to hit San Francisco. Be a very useful, toothless tool to the anti-whites in the Jewish population. That's one line of thinking that I could see people in the government of Israel. I could see the Miriam Adelsons out there concluding with their billions and billions of dollars from casino money, which victimizes the white race, all races that end up gambling their lives away. But if you go to these casinos, they are full. The biggest moneymakers are the white senior citizens who gamble every single dollar away. They're getting their money that you're paying out that you won't get in their old age. They were promised, and you were promised they'll get it from your work, but you won't get it. They're using that money. The vast majority, white senior citizens in there, just playing away. They come in. I've talked to these people in this line of business who know what they're talking about. And they say the white old people coming in, they'll come in when the doors open. They'll sit down with all their money. They'll play from dawn till it closes. Dawn until the place closes. That money ain't theirs. They're paid out already. If you've ever looked at the Social Security, they're paid out within a few years. That's your hard-working ass paying for them to play gambling and making Miriam Adelson a multi-billionaire. So the Miriam Adelsons out there could think to themselves, yes, let's keep this defanged Iran talking shit so that we can keep going back to the well. Another possibility here is that they could come to is that, hey, it's true. They could develop some sort of radiological weapon, maybe not like an ICBM, maybe not a surface-to-surface missile that would have to be big and in everybody's face while it's being built, and therefore easier for us to detect. Maybe they'll just build dirty bombs, which would be harder for us anti-whites in the Jewish population to detect. And then maybe they'll smuggle them in to Israel and set them off. And then radiation goes everywhere. Chernobyl style, 3 Mile Island style. If they go down that stream of thought, then the natural conclusions will be there need to be boots on the ground. We need to be able to look directly with force at everything that's happening there. That means another puppet regime. And irrespective of what Donald Trump is saying today, this is the end of it, no more. It is the end of it, he's saying, for the United States. Israel has not stopped bombing. Hospitals, supposedly, they're bombing. Power plants, they're bombing. What about the people on life support? Media's not talking about that, are they? What about what temperature is it in Iran? Are the elderly dying from the heat when the power goes off and you can't get it back because there's no power line to fix? There just ain't no power stump. There ain't no power station. Israel's destroyed it. Runways being blown up, the movement of goods across the country, like medicine. Nobody's talking about that and the effects that it has. Oh, but if it in any way redounded to the benefit of white people's well-being, we would be white guilted all day long about how poor Iranian, old and sick, and children with cancer, we would all be plastered on our TVs, have our eyes glazed with images of little Iranian children with cancer and on chemotherapy, and now they're dead because white people bombed their power plant. White people bombed the runway, and the medicine couldn't be brought to them. Now they're all dead white people. And then a vast majority of white women of both sexes would come running up. Oh, gee, look at what's happened to their little brown kids. Let's bring them into the U.S. That way they can get their medicine on our dime. Oh, will it make it harder to get our white babies the medicine? Well, we got to share. So there's that stream of thought. If that's the case, maybe not today. Maybe the U.S. doesn't land troops there today. But maybe Trump gets backed into another situation. He was backed into this. He was cornered by anti-whites in the Jewish population.
I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
I believe that he did not want any sort of warfare. I believe that he was honestly done with that. But Israel initiated the war knowing they could not complete the mission, and that they would then compel, by cornering Trump, to complete the mission for them. And that is exactly what played out. Kind of a nice thing when you have a people and you elevate your intelligence to the top. There's been over the years, and I've been privy to whatever you think you know about Jews. I've been hammered in the face by more of it. I've been here for decades. I've been told for decades, you got to know every single thing about the Jews. Look, you got to learn this. You got to learn that. You got to learn this. There was an interesting phenomenon that I learned about when it came to intelligent Jews. The most intelligent, especially among their religious circles, would be encouraged, and on the other end, same from the other end, by the wealthiest businessmen to breed. We'll just leave it at breed, to marry and have children. But it is like breeding, because the intent was intelligent children. We can look at Iran, and they clearly are not breeding for intelligence. They probably have geniuses. I'm sure they do. Geniuses in Iran. But they ain't geniuses in charge. This is the dumbest footing imaginable. that these leaders took. What do we see in the white race? Same dumb shit you see in Iran. Same dumb shit. The most intelligent is not elevated. Oh, people who present academics as effete as they can be are elevated. Oh, yeah, they get all kinds of attention. They're celebrated and elevated. Never anything aggressive coming out of such people. Never. You need to. Academics have a place in this world, and it is behind the intelligent doers. The academics can come in and say, here is why the intelligent doers have it right. Not leadership. No one who is effete. Now, I get it. Like we had last week, somebody said, just wish Jason didn't have to always be so angry. Well, obviously, I'm not always so angry, but this is what masculinity looks like. This is what, and I can say this aggressively in public because I can whoop ass. That's what you need in leadership. Not effete, feminine, academic cowards. That's what you see in Iran, that the brightest have not been elevated to leadership. This Khamenei must be dumb as rocks. And the others around him, dumb as rocks. Selfishness probably elevated them up through that religion. And they're not interested in the actual well-being of their totality of their population because they clearly have not brought the most intelligent to strategize, to formulate. But that's not what seems to happen, at least with some Jews in the Jewish population. We see a Jew in this community. This community looks out at the world, and we see a Jew who plagiarizes me and creates a book that is practically the same ideas, except takes the white element out of it and turns the concepts into abstractions. What happens for him in his community? Well, his book is garbage. It's actual garbage. No, I'm not even kidding. It's actual useless garbage. But his community elevate him. He is this powerful thinker for them. So they elevate. He's great. He is brilliant. He's written up in all their magazines. His producers of shows on Fox and elsewhere, they immediately call him, yes, come on. His book goes onto the New York Times bestseller list, offering nothing of actual value for your basic conservatives or nationalists or patriots. He makes $1 million+ off the book alone. What happens in the white race? Well, a white guy, masculine white guy comes out. By the way, this Jew, he was more of a masculine. He's an academic now, but in his younger years, he presents his younger years as him being more masculine. And there he is elevated by Jews, fellow Jews, whether those fellow Jews are anti-white or just regular folks. What happens in the white race is the white guy creates something that works for white people, and the white race gets deeply jealous, slanders the ever-living shit out of me, tells no one, there's no invites, not only on the Fox News, no invites on the Fox News. There's no invites to people with 5,000 followers on YouTube. Not interested. So the white race is the problem. You can blame Jews all you want. You're just a loser. You're just a fucking loser. It's your fault. That's the hard pill. There are many targets left. Tonight was the most difficult of them all, and perhaps the most lethal. So many targets left. There you have it. As I said, they flew from Missouri and hit Iran from the west. So for all of these conservatives that keep saying that they faked from the west and attacked from the east, learn your compass direction. For the love of God. I mean, I feel like we should do one of those Mark Dice tests on these merchants on the right and show them a map and say, of the world, with none of the countries named, and say, show us where Guam is. Show us where Iran is. So there you have B2 Spirit and the bunker busting bombs. So we hit upon the most important point, which is that this is a deep injury to the white race. Look at that beautiful piece of machinery built by the white race. Let me tell you, created by the white race, the ingenuity and intelligence, money of the white race. This is us. That is us in the air. That should be defending us. Should only ever be used for our interest. Every healthy white man, not only in America, but the world, will have felt emasculated by the use of our weaponry. And let me tell you, for another group of people, let me tell you something. If you have never stood before a piece of machinery that the white race has created purely for the purpose of killing, in other words, preserving the white race, white well-being. If you've never done it, I will tell you, it is the most humbling and impressive thing that you will ever witness in life. That's why we have to speak to what's going on. That's why we have to be able to approach, why the lesson of the day is being able to approach even those overly sensitive in our circles, because this is not going to change. Is, as I titled this gathering, is the relationship between America and Israel harmed in some ways, a little bit in the short term? This is so overtly, so evidently in the interest of Israel. Because why can people feel this? Because our politicians, when they're running for office, are not always talking about the threat to America and American bases and American interests and the $1 gasoline from our American gas station in Iraq that doesn't exist. So we don't hear people, our politicians, constantly talking about this threat. We only know of it when Israel comes running up and says, you better fight them because they'll kill you at some point. They want you dead. So a little bit. The reputation is harmed a little bit. That relationship is harmed a little bit. But it's not going to stop it. They'll polish it right back up. Netanyahu or his successor, they'll show up in the U.S. and they'll talk about their deep love and gratitude, their deep love for the American people and the United States. Do anything for us. And a ton of white people that are bent out of shape now will accept that essentially as an apology. Will there continue to be disgruntled losers, powerless, without money, without intelligence, dysfunctional, who, or will I, maybe better to say in that population, will there be a high percentage of them who will continue to hate Israel and hate Jews? Of course. That ain't going to stop the power wielded. It's not going to make a dent over the power wielded by the anti-whites within the total Jewish population and the anti-whites within the white population. This right here should actually be a weapon of peace. It should be long by now ensuring the peace on planet Earth. No country able to go to war that the West, the white race, Western kind, won't allow to go to war on planet Earth. We would have ended suffering because this puppy can reach out and get you anywhere on the planet.